beautiful person, come grab a tea with me and let's talk tarot a little bit. Because you see, I've had some realization, excuse me, about my tarot and oracle collection, as well as my general taste in tarot and my practice, and it's some pretty weird stuff for me, and I really wanted to talk to someone about it, so I'm going to talk to you about it. So make yourself comfortable and let's talk tarot. So as usual, I'm just going to put the tea aside actually, because I cannot possibly hold it in my hand while talking. It's heavy, okay? Okay, so what is this video even about? I've been thinking about filming this for a while because I couldn't really wrap my head around what do I actually want to say? Like, how do I actually want to word it, if you will? Because you see, something pretty strange has been happening in my personal tarot practice and my taste in tarot and oracle as well, but speaking mostly tarot here. So the thing is that I have a pretty small tarot collection compared to some actual tarot collectors, okay? We've been through that already. I've talked about it on the channel before, how I do not really actively expand my tarot collection. And I don't really actively look at the market for new decks. I'm not really caught up with the new decks that are coming out. I'm really not aware about these things. Now, I do follow a few artists who do publish decks over on Instagram, but I'm no longer purchasing their decks, not because I wouldn't like to, you know, support their work or whatever. I think their decks are beautiful and fantastic. However, I personally don't feel like I need any more decks, even though I do actually have one deck currently arriving. Well, I'm waiting for this deck to arrive, but it's a Lenormand deck. That's another topic, and I'm gonna talk about that as well, because yeah, Lenormand's been a thing in my practice lately, which is something I did not expect. But okay, let's not digress too much. So there are new decks coming all the time, right? The market is oversaturated with tarot and oracle decks. But let's talk tarot mostly, because you see, the thing about oracle decks is that every oracle deck is completely different. It brings something different in terms of the theme, the card titles, just the overall function of that oracle deck. So it's a little bit different. But with tarot, the tarot is delivering tarot, right? It's giving you the tarot. Now, sure, there can be different styles to tarot in terms of artwork, and that can provide you with a little bit of a different experience, because tarot, after all, is a visual experience, the visual and the tactile experience. So yeah, of course, I'm not saying that different tarot decks do not provide you with different sensations and different types of readings, but it's still a tarot deck, right? Are you following me here? I promise I'm gonna try to make this the least chaotic as I can, but I mean, you're talking to me, so you know that there's gonna be a little bit of chaos in this video. Okay, so with that being said, by the very beginning of my tarot practice, I remember that my taste in tarot was very particular in terms of, first of all, I did not like Rider-Waite-Smith. I still don't. That didn't change yet. I don't even dare to say that that's gonna be this way forever, because we all change, you know, the jazz, the life changes, the taste changes, and I'm literally talking to you here today about that change. And but yeah, Rider-Waite-Smith is not my thing for now. It hasn't been back in the day either. And what was my thing back in the day was some sort of abstract artwork. My first tarot deck that I actually learned tarot with was the Wild Unknown. Now I have it over here. Let's take a look at it. I don't think I'm going to be showing you every deck that I'm going to be talking about, because as you can see, I have them organized in this way that the decks that I'm not really using are like on the bottom, and the decks that I am using are just like easy to grab. But anyway, so the Wild Unknown, I still want to look at this deck a little bit. So, oh, the full card, so lovely. This wasn't intentional, by the way, just started with a full. So yeah, the Wild Unknown, it was my, this was the artwork that I learned tarot with, and I was really into that. And I still love this deck. I mean, I still do think this artwork is very beautiful. You know, it is very abstract. It's not the usual Rider-Waite-Smith copy, not at all. And this was my thing for a very long time. By the way, just a side note, this is the first tarot deck that I learned tarot with, but my very first tarot deck is another one. I can't grab that one. The one that I got when I was 12 years old, sort of. It was a little bit different. It was still a pip deck, but I do have a video about the deck. I'm going to link it down below somewhere, so you can go ahead and watch that one if you are curious. But yeah, I learned tarot with this one, like actually properly learned tarot with this one. And I was so... first of all, I did not even plan on having a tarot collection at all, because I'm the type of person that when I get a deck, I really need some time to get familiar with it and to get used to it and to enjoy it properly. And I always thought that this was going to be my one and only tarot deck. Now, of course, joke's on me, because it's not my one and only tarot deck. But yeah, basically this is what I thought initially, right? That this was going to be my one and only tarot deck, and that I wasn't ever gonna purchase anything else, because I want to have just one tool to read tarot with, and that's it. And there are people who actually do that. They have just one deck. They have usually the regular, some regular version of Rider-Waite-Smith, and that's it. And it's perfectly fine, because the truth is, you don't need more tarot decks, right? However, we live in this society that is very imbued by capitalism, and I'm no different than anyone else. Sorry, my cat is moving the camera. Yeah, by the way, when this happens, when you feel like the camera is shaky, it's because my cat is walking around, and yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway, back to the topic. So I am actually no different. I do not want to say that I'm so immune to capitalism, like my collection is so small, I'm so cool, like I'm better than someone else. No, I'm not. I'm not, okay? I'm not at all. I'm also, I have also fallen victim to shiny new decks, and even though I do have a very strict criteria, usually, for getting a new deck, like I really need to feel like super called to a deck, I really need to be super into it. Still, of course, I bought some decks that I'm not using today, and I haven't even been using a lot when I got them, which is something I want to get into as well. So anyway, the point being, I got that deck, the beautiful Wild Unknown, and I've been reading with this deck for a long time, reading with this deck only for a long time, until I got another one, and I can't even remember what was the second deck I purchased, but I believe that... No, I can't. I would have to like sit down and think about it. Okay. Anyways, I don't even have that many tarot decks, because see, this is the Oracle section, and only this section is tarot. Okay, and the Lenormand. But anyway, the thing is, with the next deck I purchased after this one, which I don't remember which one that was, it kind of opened the door to, oh, there are tarot decks, there are indie tarot decks, that's crazy and that's beautiful. And what I'm getting at is that I acquired this particular taste for very strange decks, right? And very strange decks meaning, okay, I'm gonna have to take this one out, hold on. So I basically just dismantled it all. But I'm speaking about this deck, which is actually, it's huge. It's super huge. It's the Nameless One Tarot and Oracle by... I'm going to leave the creator's name on the screen. And this deck was like, I'm still very in love with it, don't get me wrong. It's just very hard to shuffle because it's very chunky and the cards are very, like, look at the deck. It's... How many cards are in this deck? I don't know, but it's not 78 cards, because since there is also an Oracle portion, I mean, it's a lot. And it's pretty impossible to shuffle. However, this deck... Oh, sorry, I'm just being nostalgic. I haven't actually properly looked at it in a while. So you see, it was like on the bottom. portion of the shelf. So anyway, oh, I'm sorry. So anyway, this deck also follows this sort of well, it's not abstract as such, like there are still images, there is still imagery that you can really, you can interpret it. It's not like that confusing, but it's still pretty abstract deck in a way that, okay, hold on, let me just grab a card, because this is more of the oracle side. Like, it is still a pretty abstract deck, like there is no a scene depicted, and this is what my style of decks would look like, you know. This is the Fool card. Oh, and there are no titles. I loved that about this deck. Before this one, I have not encountered any deck that would not display titles of the cards. I'm sorry, I'm always putting the card too close to the camera, forgetting that these cards are just huge. Okay, so this is just to kind of show you that this was my, okay, this is the Ten of Swords, I love this one. This is what my taste in tarot looked like. You see, it doesn't follow any sort of traditional system. This is Eight of Wands. It's completely its own thing, mostly abstract. These are the court cards, by the way, it's these masks. Some of them portray zodiac signs, and I mean, all of them portray zodiac signs. It's just that the jesters, the pages, are like the group of 3, I believe, zodiac signs, and the queens, kings, and the knights are just like one by one. Anyway, it's a weird deck. It's a beautiful, one-of-a-kind deck. I really love it. And yeah, so this is basically, okay, you get the picture. This is the style of a deck. This is the style of a deck that I would like and I would go after. Not following any particular system. It doesn't follow Rider-Waite-Smith, it doesn't follow Marseille, it doesn't follow Thoth. It's just its own weird thing. And I was always very reluctant towards decks which would follow the traditional systems, because I would be like, why would we read with traditional? Hear me out. I was thinking, why would we read with traditional types of decks when we have these strange decks rich in strangeness and, you know, uniqueness? Like, when we have these unique decks, why would we go back to the classics? Why would we still work with the classics? This was the past tarot me. And okay, let me put this deck back real quick. So that would be generally my style. Now, later into my tarot practice, I purchased this deck from Amazon. This is the Mass Market Gothic Tarot by Joseph Vargo. And I purchased this deck because I have this goth personality, believe it or not. But yeah, especially when I was a teenager, I used to be very gothic. Now I'm a little more colorful sometimes, because still I have many days when I just want to wear black and just style myself in this gothic fashion. But you know, not the point. The point is, I purchased this deck because it really reminded me of my teenage years, and I started working with this deck in terms of just communing with my inner teenager, because this deck is just very romantic, very gothic. Well, there are ghosts, there are vampires, there are angels. Not much fan of those, but like, look at this image, for example. I was just sold by it, okay? And I also purchased the big guidebook that Joseph Vargo wrote. I have it somewhere up there. But anyway, the point is, I got this deck. This is a little bit more traditional maybe, but it's still not really. Like, it has a little bit of Rider-Waite-Smith influence, but not entirely. You see, like, not really. So it still follows that strange line, right? It still follows that artwork that's just not exactly what you would expect from a tarot deck in in terms of traditional tarot deck, you know. So this would be the Gothic Tarot. Now I will not talk too much about this one. I just want to show you that this was like the most traditionally looking deck that I used to have, and it's still not traditional at all. And then I remember I hit a point in which I really needed to get rid of all these scenic images. And I remember it was like I had some, I don't know, it was just this weird awakening moment, not awakening as in I awakened into something wonderful. It was just this sudden change that came to me, and I was like, I really can't work with these images anymore. And given that these images are not even, okay, the Gothic Tarot, yeah, it is fully illustrated. However, the Nameless One Tarot and Oracle, it wasn't even like fully illustrated. Like you could see that those images were more abstract. They were not depicting actual scenes. However, I suddenly got this very sudden urge to work with the most minimalist art possible. Something that would get me back in roots with the Nameless One. Not the Nameless One, the Wild Unknown. And I decided to get this beauty, which is the Fortuna Tarot Obsidian Occult version by Studio Artemi. And it's got this beautiful foil. It's this pink, pinkish, purplish kind of a foil. And the funny thing is that when I purchased this deck, I wasn't even in my pink era. Because yeah, I have a pink era now, and I'm not speaking only about my hair. I just love the color pink, like I can't get enough of it. Where is the guidebook? Okay, there. So, but not the point. I got this deck because I just fell in love with the minimalism of it. Like, the entire deck is just pips. It's not illustrated. Not even the major arcana, by the way. They're just these symbols. And it is very heavy on astrology, so the astrological, I'm sorry, is this even focusing? So the astrological correspondences are very present in this deck. You see, my camera is trying to focus on something on the back, I'm so sorry. I don't know if it's the shiny foil. So you see Justice, for example, it's all just these abstract images. And this deck really worked for me for a while. Now, why am I saying for a while? Because I could not really click with it, even though it's beautiful. I love it. I mean, and now I love it even more in terms of the coloration, in terms of artwork, in terms of the astrology, because it's helpful, you know, because since I'm working with the Thoth, which we will get into in a minute, I really appreciate, you know, a little help with astrological symbols on the cards, because I still don't remember, like from the top of my head, every single astrological correspondence in every card. So I really like this deck. I think it's a very beautifully done. The cardstock is super luxurious. What I mean by that, the cards are really sturdy is the word, I believe. There's this edging, the pink edging. Like, I love this deck in terms of design and in terms of just how it looks and the messages it gives and how it's structured. However, this deck is also like kind of like chunky. It's on the chunkier side of the decks, and it's a little bit hard for me to shuffle, because I used to shuffle this deck just overhand. That was my go-to shuffle, but lately, that's another thing, I became super obsessed with the riffle shuffle. As you could probably see in my collective readings videos, I love riffle shuffling, my small Thoth. Like, I cannot get enough of it. It's just wild. And I wanted to riffle shuffle this baby the other day. It was impossible. It was impossible. The deck is just too, you know, like tense, too hard, too sturdy. Yeah, it was a little bit of a challenge, and I just realized I don't really grab this deck anymore, and I'm so sorry about it, because it's beautiful and I don't want to get rid of it or anything, because it's just way too beautiful. It was also on the pricier side. See, this was a little bit of a guilty pleasure, because it cost me a lot with shipping and all, because I live in Central Europe, and the most of the decks, indie decks that I purchase, are from other countries, and you know, it can hurt your pocket a little bit. It can hurt your wallet a little bit. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say it in English. English isn't my first language. So this was me kind of seeking something more simple and maybe something a little bit more traditional, even if it's not really traditional. Because yeah, another thing I forgot to tell you while I was showing the cards, I'm sorry, is that I thought that this deck was kind of like Marseille style. But I did not really know much about Marseille back in the day when I purchased that one, and I realized that it doesn't really follow Marseille that well. I'm sorry, I don't know what word was I looking for. It is a pip deck, but it's not a Marseille deck, is what I'm trying to say, right? Because I believe in the suit of coins, it looks a little bit like Marseille, but for example, the wands are candles in that deck, and they're all displayed in the same way, like on a candle holder, so not a Marseille deck. Anyway, so after that one, I believe that was the last strange deck I purchased. Strange meaning following sort of its own thing, being really modern and just different from the classics. And then I got somehow illuminated again, and I don't know why. I just decided I'm going to get a Thoth deck. And I remember I saw this deck online in videos of tarot tubers and on Instagram, and I would always think, what an ugly deck. Like, yeah, I'm guilty of thinking that, I'm so sorry, but I thought, what an ugly deck. Until I decided one day, I don't even remember what was it that really made me go for it. I believe it was something, I think I just wanted to know more about the Thoth deck, and I wanted to read Crowley because of his, you know, occult knowledge. Not fan of other things he did. But anyway, I decided to get a deck, and I decided to get it with the Book of Thoth. And I remember that the Book of Thoth arrived. The Book of Thoth arrived first, and the deck arrived later. And I was, it was just an experiment pretty much, you know. It was just an experiment. I just wanted to know more about this deck. I was intrigued by it, but I did not like it one bit. And then, you know, I'm just going to shuffle it a little bit because I filmed this tarot tag, and I did not shuffle it afterwards, so you don't have to look at the same cards that in the previous video. Anyways, so there we go. So I did not like it, but I got it because I really wanted to know what it feels like, and I wanted to get to know tarot a little bit more. And I was like, well, this is one of the traditional systems, right? So it would be probably good to study tarot a little bit more with it, like deepen my knowledge about tarot. And it was the best choice I could possibly ever have made. I have no clue whether I said this phrase right, I'm sorry. It was the best possible decision because this deck became my home, as I tend to say. I love it immensely. Like, this imagery just became so comforting for me. And even though I would not say I know everything about Thoth Tarot, I wouldn't dare to say that, because there is a lot to know about Thoth Tarot. It feels like a never-ending journey, and it sometimes gets confusing. Sometimes you're like, wow, I got this right. Some things you don't get right sometimes, you know. It's this very interesting journey, really. But I'm really happy that I got into it, because this deck became something for me that I would not, I don't want to say never, because you know, the word never is tricky, but it's something I don't see myself getting rid of or ceasing to read with. Because the thing about these other decks is that I would enjoy them for a while and then I would just stop using them. Now, I do not really see myself not using Thoth in the future, and I know it's a bold thing to say, because what do I know? Maybe I will change again, and maybe I will be just not into Thoth anymore. But I can tell by how the relationship with this deck is going, right? Because with these other decks, I would usually, as I said, I would just lose interest in them, and I would basically just stop reading with them, because I would feel like the imagery is not doing it for me anymore. And with this deck, I feel quite the opposite. I feel like I want to read with it more. I want to know more about it. I want to continue reading about it. I obviously want to continue studying the Book of Thoth, which is never-ending reading, and I just feel more and more interest in this deck as opposed to what I would feel with these other decks, which would be more like getting out of love with them, falling out of love with them. With this deck, it's the opposite. I feel like I'm falling more and more in love with it. And what happened after this deck is that I was gifted the vintage Thoth deck, so the greenie. Now the greenie is, hold on, I'm gonna put the cards to this terrible tag box. Now I was gifted greenie for my birthday, and you know, the greenie it's a vintage deck, and this was the first used deck that I got, and I was so surprised by this. Now we need to talk about this a little bit, not because of it being vintage, but because I never thought I would ever enjoy a used deck. Because let me tell you something real quick. I'm this crazy person who does not want, who goes crazy when someone touches my things. Like, I can't stand it. I don't know why. Let me tell you in the comments whether this is something that happens to you. And it's not even just tarot decks. If you touch, I don't know, if you touch my, I don't know, some crystal that I have, or if you touch, like, literally whatever it is, even if you touch like my cat or something, and he's a living being, I go crazy. I will hate you. I will get mad. I will not be okay with it, and I will also have problems like touching that thing myself. That, like, as I said, I'm a little bit crazy. Okay, admit. So, with all that on mind, with all that being said, when I got greenie, I was happy, but I thought this was gonna be just sitting on the shelf because I thought I would just be unable to touch this deck, read with this deck, use this deck, and I was so wrong. I was so wrong, and this opened something in me that I never thought was possible, which is I fell in love with the used deck. And to some of you this might sound completely random and weird, but it was a big deal for me. And I realized I can actually read with this deck. I could actually read with this deck. I could actually enjoy this deck. And I'm sorry, I'm just still mind blown by it. And I still, I read with this deck not so often as with the other deck, because I'm mostly using the large Thoth for my daily draws. And greenie I'm using when usually when I have something more, not something more fancy to ask, but not really something more fancy to ask, but something like more important, or if it's something like a new moon or something and I want a little bit more fancy vibe, I ask greenie. But yeah, the point is, I started reading with the used deck, which is something I would never think was possible. And then from there, I basically got another deck, which is one of my absolute favorites as well. This goes a little bit again into that abstract, you know, taste of mine. However, hold on. However, it's still, even if it's abstract, it's still Thoth based. And the deck in question is the Quintessential Thoth made by Lennon Smith. And I've spoken about this deck on the channel before. This is also something I didn't think I would be able to work with long term, but I am. It just works. This is completely abstract. Like, this deck is based on the Thoth images, but it's like micro zoomed in somehow. It's basically depicting the quintessence of the Thoth, and it works. It works for me. It works for me, and it actually does work for me so well. I even, you know, traveled with this deck, and it's amazing, and it shuffles so nicely. There's another thing. It's on linen cardstock, and some people have problems with it. I don't. I mean, yeah, the cards fly when you do the riffle shuffle, but I mean, I love it so much, and it reads so well, and yeah, I love it. And my point again is that it's again it's Thoth based. So even though I did dare to, you know, get a deck that is different, not the traditional one. It still follows this traditional one somehow, sort of. So what am I saying? Hold on, because my cam is overheating. Okay, I don't even know for how long I've been filming, so I think I'm going to make it a little bit quicker from here, I promise. I'm not going to be showing you any more decks in such detail like I was in a moment ago, but okay, let's just continue. So basically, you're getting the picture, right? I got the Thoth deck and I became obsessed with it, and then I got another Thoth deck and then another Thoth-based deck, and then I traveled to Latin America, and guess what? I got another Thoth deck. Yeah, this one. This one is in Spanish, and I actually use this for almost all of my collective readings I do. Like this, I don't know, this deck just became my collective readings deck, and also it riffle shuffles so good because it's a small one, right? So if you want to see this one, I have a video where I'm showing you the cards. I'm going to link it down below. It's about decks I got in Latin America. So this is like the Thoth obsession, right? And you probably got it, my channel became a lot like Thoth influenced. I talk about this deck a lot because I find it amazing. I find it so rich in symbolism, rich in knowledge, rich in information, and it's just somehow one of a kind to me, and I just love it. I just love it. Okay, I think that's clear. However, afterwards I was also pretty determined to get into Marseille, like actually study Marseille, actually get familiar with it, and somehow broaden, is that the word, my knowledge on tarot with that system, because I would be mostly using tarot with these abstract decks, but based on Rider-Waite-Smith system, right? So I was really determined to get a Marseille deck, and I couldn't find one for the life of mine because I wouldn't like the major arcana, still don't. However, I decided to get this CBD Marseille also when I was traveling in Latin America. It's not my favorite deck at all. I usually bitch about it a lot. I like the coloration, but I don't like the vector style of the artwork, if you know what I mean. So yeah, but I'm studying the Marseille with this and with Jodorowsky's book. However, I don't really read with this deck like for myself a lot. Every so often I do, but it's, I know, the cardstock and just the imagery, yeah, no. But it's my Marseille deck. It's the traditional, it's a completely traditional Marseille, no alterations, well, maybe in coloration, but it's one of the traditional ones. With that being said, I also got two more decks in Latin America, my pair of weirdos. They're over here, and if you want to know which one they are, go ahead and watch the video about decks I got in Latin America. They are weird. And with one of them, with the pink one, the Tarot del Dio de los Tres, I read with it sometimes to interpret my dreams, because that deck is just weird, and I love the colors of it, I love the artwork, but since my taste in decks shifted into more of this traditional, which is actually what I want to get into, this is basically what I want to talk about in this video, how my taste went from this crazy abstract modern decks into like traditional things, and we are gonna end it with the like the traditional one, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, so with the pink deck I sometimes read, but I stopped because I realized it's not working for me. Like, its imagery is just too modern, too abstract. Okay, it's not about the abstraction really, it's the style. It's this, you know, it's a modern deck, and I realized that it's just not working for me anymore. It's not working for me like it used to, the modern decks. And the other one, El Gran Tarot Esotérico, jokes on me, I haven't even consecrated that one, and I haven't ever read for myself with that one. And these two were actually gifts from my partner for me, because he thought I would enjoy them, and I thought I would enjoy them too, because they looked interesting. Especially El Gran Tarot Esotérico, it's so weird, because I think the swords and the cups are like interchanged. I don't know, but I haven't had a chance to work with it because I've been immersed with Thoth basically and the Marseille studies, and I'm just going to finish this video with the deck that blew my mind in a way that I did not expect at all. and it's getting into the level of Thoth, and it's a Marseille style deck. I spoke about it on the channel already. There are, I believe, 2 videos that feature that deck, and I have it in this box I got a few years ago, because the box it came in, I don't want it to get damaged because it's a vintage deck. It's a vintage used deck, and when I got it, first of all, as I said, the Thoth Greenie opened that door for me. I realized I'm able to click and connect with the used deck, so I gave this one a chance because I fell in love. This was the love at first sight, like I could not resist this. And it's the Epinal Tarot de Pinal. It's a French deck. I'm sorry for my pronunciation. And this deck, y'all, it's a Marseille deck with slight alterations here and there. For example, there's a consultant card, which is not in traditional Marseille. This is the 79 card deck. And anyway, this deck, as I mentioned, I'm sorry, I just got a little bit like brain freeze. It's a Marseille style deck. However, this is the Marseille, not really Marseille, but Marseille deck that clicked with me. Not the CBD, that's this one. And I believe it's because of the use of, how can I say this? I'm not really a visual artist, but the CBD Marseille is a vector style artwork, and this one is more like hand drawn, right? I don't know, let me know if I'm onto something here or not, but there is a clear difference. Now, I did not show you the CBD Marseille in this video, I'm sorry, okay. But there's that, and also the coloration of this deck, like the use of the turquoise, which is one of my favorite colors. I can't get enough of it. It's amazing, it's beautiful, and I'm sorry, it's so beautiful. And when I got it, and also look at the backs, okay? I just love it so much. And when I got it, I realized that it riffle shuffles so good, like you cannot imagine. I mean, the riffle shuffles that this deck gives you, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. I love this deck beyond anything. It's literally on the level of Thoth for me. And this is the deck I'm reading with for myself. I wanted to do collective readings with this one, but it didn't. It felt like it didn't want to be used that way. Have you ever had that feeling? And it's not because I couldn't, because I totally could. I read for a friend with it. But when it comes to collective readings, I don't know, the deck was just like, no. It was just this feeling I got. Maybe it will change in the future, I don't know. Let me know if you would like a reading with this deck. I mean, it's beautiful, and I don't know. I would just go on and on and on about this deck. And I think I will ramble about it a lot more on the channel, because it's just it's a whole another thing. And also, since it's been used, this also ties to why the riffle shuffles so well. Like, there is something about used decks that it just makes the shuffling then so more pleasurable in a way. I don't know, let me know if you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, Tarot de Pinal. I can't possibly imagine myself without this deck anymore. And I did not think this would happen. And yeah, so I have my Marseille deck, I have my Thoth deck, and this is basically to say that, yeah, my style changed heavily. It shifted heavily from these modern, crazy decks to pure traditional art, like what the hell. And there are people, oh, another thing, there are people depicted both in Thoth and here in Tarot de Pinal. And I would usually hate seeing people in tarot decks. I would be more into, you know, animal decks, abstract decks, as you could see, except for the Gothic tarot. There are people, well, vampires, angels, ghosts, but you know what I mean, like human figures. I wouldn't like seeing that in decks, and I don't mind that in Thoth, neither nor in the Tarot de Pinal. So that's something strange for me, and I've just come to realize that I'm sorry the camera overheated again, and my tea is completely cold now because I forgot about it. But yeah, I'm gonna try to finish this video. So I just wanted to say that I've realized basically that my taste in tarot shifted heavily from this modern crazy artwork to completely traditional ones. And now when I see new decks on Instagram or, you know, on YouTube channels, I can obviously acknowledge that the artwork is beautiful, but I just don't feel anything with it anymore. I don't feel even the slightest spark of interest in them because I found such treasure in these traditional decks, and it's very surprising for me because I would swear to you, like 6 years ago, that I would never ever get a traditional deck, and here I am, Thoth obsessed, and this reading with this a little bit of a strange Marseille deck. Yeah, like how did that happen? Is my question. How did that happen? You see? So yeah, okay, I think I'm just going to close this up because the camera is overheating constantly, and I have no idea for how long have I been talking. So I'm going to talk to you about the Lenormand in another video because I have a lot to say about that experience, and I'm just gonna continue talking tarot and decks on the channel like over and over and over again, so don't worry. I'm gonna be here again. Anyway, thank you so much for accompanying me. I hope you enjoyed your tea. I hope you did not forget that you have a tea, and I hope it did not get cold with me talking so much. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. If you like this video, leave it a like. Also, leave a comment. I'm so happy when I get to talk to you, like actually talk to you in the comments. So please do leave a comment and consider subscribing. It would help channel a lot. And okay, with all that being said, I hope you're staying kind, and I'm going to see you in the next video. Bye bye!